Hi, my name is Kathy David. I'm a registered nurse at Parkland Health Center, and I've spent the majority of my 29 years of caring serving those with cardiovascular disease. I thought today we'd take a glance at some important steps each one of us can take in improving our heart health and decreasing our chances of a cardiac event. Today, I'd like to bring some awareness to controllable risk factors. What are risk factors? Risk factors are traits or habits that predispose us to develop heart disease, which is also known as CHD. And today I'd like to maybe offer some interventions which can be incorporated into our everyday lives. Many people have at least one risk factor for heart disease. The more risk factors you have, the more likely you are to develop heart disease. Besides the number of risk factors a person has, there are also some risk factors which may predispose you to heart disease greater than others. Examples of these risk factors include smoking and diabetes. Many risk factors predisposing a person to heart disease start early during childhood. This is even more prevalent today, unfortunately, because many of our children are overweight and they're sedentary. These two risk factors alone can also lead to development of other risk factors such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and high blood cholesterol. This is where family history of heart disease can get complicated. Family members share genes, behaviors, lifestyles, and environments that can influence the risk for disease. When disease is passed along via genes and is further compounded by unhealthy family traits, the possibility of disease development is great, sometimes starting much earlier in life than expected. The best defense against heredity is first knowing what your family history is and then demonstrate and encourage healthy behaviors and choices with your kids. Cholesterol. Cholesterol is that waxy fat-like substance that can build up in the walls of your arteries and produce plaque. There are two types of cholesterol, and they're also in the form of lipoproteins. LDL is your low-density lipoprotein. I like to refer to that as our lousy cholesterol, and we want that number really low. HDL is your high-density lipoprotein. It's your healthy cholesterol or your good cholesterol. An easy way to remember that is that you want that high. Many factors affect cholesterol levels, such as diet, physical activity, gender, age, and menopause. Blood pressure. It's the force of your blood pushing against the walls of your arteries as your heart pumps blood. If this pressure rises and stays high over time, it can damage the walls of your arteries and your heart and lead to plaque buildup. Both children and adults are more likely to develop high blood pressure if they're overweight and/or have diabetes. Diabetes, what is that? That's when the blood sugar is just too high in our bloodstream. There are two types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. Type 1, the body doesn't produce enough insulin. Type 2, the body produces insulin, it's just not used correctly. And over time, the high blood sugar levels can lead to increased plaque buildup and formation in your arteries. Having diabetes doubles your risk for heart disease. Type 2 diabetes has a strong link to obesity and inactivity. Many children today are becoming diabetic due to excess weight and being sedentary. On prediabetes, your blood sugar is high, but not as high as in diabetes. And if you do have prediabetes and you don't make lifestyle changes or manage it somehow, you're more than likely to develop full-blown diabetes within 10 years. Wow, more than 2/3 of American adults are overweight, and almost 1/3 of these adults are obese. Being overweight or obese can raise your risk for heart disease and heart attack. This is mainly because overweight and obesity are linked to other risk factors, such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes. Smoking. The more you smoke, the greater your risk of heart attack. The benefits of quitting smoking occur no matter how long or how much you've smoked. CHD is associated with smoking, begins to decrease as soon as you quit. Parents can help encourage your children from smoking by not smoking themselves. And it's also important to talk to your kids about the dangers of smoking and how to overcome peer pressure to smoke. Unhealthy diet, high fat, processed foods, too much sugar, that leads to further development of heart disease. It also compounds other risk factors such as high blood cholesterol, being overweight, and diabetes. And stress. What is stress? It triggers our blood pressure to go higher because it tightens our veins and our arteries. And it also can lead to further compounding other risk factors such as overweight and high blood pressure. I saved this module for last because it packs a huge punch. Inactive people are nearly twice as likely to develop heart disease as those who are active. Just being sedentary can complicate other risk factors It can have a positive effect on them as well when exercise is incorporated into their lifestyle. Trying to modify controllable risk factors is completely overwhelming, so focusing on just one physical activity can get that ball rolling in the right direction. And the good news is you don't have to spend hours in the gym to accomplish this. Even modest amounts of physical activity will promote healthy hearts. Just remember, if you have some areas of concern with your health, such as high blood pressure or diabetes, check with your healthcare provider first before hitting the streets. So take heart. I hope this brief glance at our #1 health challenge for Americans will encourage you to take control of some risk factors. Thank you.